parish. And may I, on behalf of everybody, both those who could come out to meet you and those who couldn't, may I welcome you very heartily and wish you luck on the rest of your journey.
Now, there was one aspect of Legan which, of course, is unique. I didn't actually come in normally to Legan this evening. I came in great and splendid style.
Yes, we provided a donkey and cart. We still probably use the slow method of transport around here. Rooney, and his co-pilot, the man with the musical instrument, was Jeff McGonigal.
And the donkey's name was, do you remember? I do.
You do?
Maggie.
Well done.
And the little pup I can't remember. Now, we had many people as well, of course, who walked in with us this evening.
Quite a number of people, and a number of them here beside me now. Councillor James Bannon, T.J. Ward, chairman of the local GA club, Tony Carty, a very good worker around the parish for every cause, and our beloved curate, who was just with us a year now, Father Frank Kelly.
He's your new curate, to coin a phrase.
He's our new curate, but indeed he has done very much for the parish in that year.
Which is the most famous monument, would you say?
Fox Hall, which is about a half a mile from the village of Legan. The Fox family were the landlords for this area for a number of years, up until the early 20th century. They lived in the old domain there at Fox Hall. They came originally from Myvore in County Westmeath. The first fox to come into the Legan was Sir Patrick Fox. He not too much is known about Patrick, but his son Nathaniel married Barbara Plunkett from Dunsany in Meath. She would be a cousin of St. Oliver Plunkett's. Patrick had 8 children, and when he died, he in his will he ordered a monument to be erected to his memory, and this monument has become known far and wide as the Stone Man of Fox Hall.
Father Kelly, as we draw to the end of this Donnacha's Tain Walk today, what are your impressions of this village and place here?
My impressions of the village and its people are impressions of friendship, impressions of people who are about their business, hard-working, honest, very enthusiastic for any good cause, very easy to motivate, very welcoming, very hospitable, as you can gather yourself from this evening, and altogether a people that it is a great pleasure to work with, and people that I'm very happy to live among, coming from the other side of Longford, North County Longford into South Longford here, which wasn't very familiar territory to me before this because I worked in Banagher for the previous 12 years. But I find the people very, very welcoming, and I find them very supportive, and I'm absolutely thrilled and delighted with them.
That is it for tonight after this journey through Longford today. Tomorrow we travel on from Abbeyshrew to Balnacargy on to Mullingar. We pick up the path of the Tain there, I think, where the bulls fought a great battle. It's been a wonderful day today. We've enjoyed it very much, especially, I think, the Longford hospitality and all of the people who came to meet us, especially the gentleman, probably Ted McGeoy, who looped the loop in an aircraft as I came in a donkey and butt. All human life was over and on Legan. From now, the third day of Donnacha's Tain Walk begins on the banks of the River Inny, here in the lyrical morning time in Abbeyshrew. Yesterday we were in the Shannon, and today on the banks of another river. I suppose we're moving on as the Tain might well have moved. We're moving, in fact, today on the path taken by the 2 great bulls, Finvanach and Down, on their rampaging and savage way back to Connacht to decide who was best. And there's the lowing of cattle in the distance, as if they too understood that they're part of this great story. I'm surrounded here by people on the bridge, young people mostly, school people mostly. Gabriel McGeoy, from which school do these come?
Well, they come from the local school, which is called Hill National School.
And there's about 100 of them here, I gather, so we have a town in itself. This place here, Abbeyshrew, what would you say of it?
Well, it's a very ancient place. There was always a settlement here, mainly because of its geographical location on the banks of the River Inny. In fact, there was an early Christian settlement here, dating back to the 8th or the 9th century. There's a Celtic cross in the old cemetery, which has markings, which can date it back to the 8th century. And then following on, in 1152, a Cistercian monastery was founded here. It was founded by the Cistercian monks from the main Cistercian foundation in Ireland at Mellifont.
And the ruins are up here,
That's
are they?
right, the ruins are to be seen over there in the distance. It flourished for about 400 years, but then in 1540 it was suppressed during the time of the Reformation. And in fact it was handed over then to the Dillon family, who later became Earls of Roscommon.
What is the land like around here?
Well, the land is quite fertile. We're living in a very fertile vein of land. The land, in fact, in South Longford is probably, is probably among the best land in Ireland. It's very, very fertile indeed, and there always has been a very strong agricultural tradition locally. And in fact, many of the people locally have their livelihood on the land.
We have a canal around here too.
That's right, yes. It's in fact, we're trying to restore it at the moment. It was completed through Abbeyshule around 1813, the extension to Clondra around 1813, and it contributed greatly to the commerce of the area. At that time, the milling industry was very strong locally, and of course the canal was very useful because oaten meal was exported on the canal even to America.
And lest we forget, you've got an airfield too.
Oh yeah, that's right, yeah, which is of very recent times, dating back to the early 1970s.
Paddy Egan from Keena, you have your own interesting theory as to where Queen Maeve crossed over from Connacht into Leinster.
Well, I have the theory that she might have crossed at Lanesborough and proceeded through Fahia and in that general direction, because I've here a booklet that says that it might have passed through Tinalake and up through Abbeyshule, and we have reason to believe that by the fact that there was a roadway discovered of major importance, more or less in line with that theory. Now, there is another story told about a townland of Fahia. Fahia is one of the oldest place names in Ireland, and it's the only one of its name. And a story is told about how the kings of Connacht and the kings of Leinster had their tournaments, and the reason for that was that they agreed on the first good bit of land on the Leinster side of the Shannon, so it meant that there was a crossing at Lanesborough for that. And Fahia, the meaning of the word Fahia is a playground, so they had their tournaments there. And the funny thing about it is those tournaments or sports were carried on, and there was sports in Fahia in 1927. It was always used for that reason. So that theory would stand up fairly well, because at that time the narrowest crossing point for the Shannon was at Rathline, or Ballyleague, yes, it's better known, the town of the flags.
Now you have someone to introduce to me here.
Yeah, Grania Egan here worked on the site, the dig, for 2 years.
Grania, tell us a bit about the dig. What happened there? What went on?
Well, a road was unearthed in the middle of the bog in Curlay, which is about 1.5 miles from the village of Keena. The road was a massive undertaking by today's standards. It was, you could say it was based on the modern day structure of a railway line, that is sleepers running parallel across large runners. The sleepers were roughly 12 to 14 feet in width.
Now, what period are we talking about here?
Roughly 147 BC was the original date, but this year there were a number of smaller roads found which would go back to early Bronze Age, which would be roughly 1,000 to 1,500 years earlier.
So it meant that that road was much travelled by many people?
It was. The greatness of its size alone pointed out that it had to be used for some major traffic.
How did you get involved? Have you an ongoing interest in history and archaeology?
Well, I've always had an interest in history and archaeology, and when the chance arose, I took it to go and work with them, and they were a very good crowd of people to work with, and I enjoyed it very much. Now,
you're dressed in school uniform. Where do you go to school?
I am. I go to the Convent of Mercy in Ballymahon.
And at what stage are you now?
Well, I'm repeating my Leaving Cert.
So you're ticking over, I suppose.
I am, yeah.
What's your concept of Queen Maeve, if any?
Well, I'm not really sure. I'm not sure of the story of her, but I'd say she was a very determined woman to get towards the position that she had in Irish history, or legend, which is, I think it is.
Father Christopher Lynch, we're here in your parish now in Abbey Shrule. Is it a big parish?
It's not a big parish. First of all, you're very welcome to it. You know the way to it. You've been here many times before. It's big enough in area, about 13,000 acres, and in population it's about 850. We have two churches, one the Church of the Sacred Heart, the main one, the other Our Lady of Lourdes here in Abbey Shrule, at the opening of which you were present.
I nearly said I officiated there for a moment.
Well, you did, yeah. Yes.
Now, is it all in one county, or are you in several counties?
Oh no, it's all in the county of Longford. We are the outpost against the Diocese of Meath, which comes in across the river almost. And
you have two churches?
Two churches, yes. There would be about a third of the population here in Abbey Shrule. Our little church would cater for about 70 families. The other end would have about 140 or 160 families. We just have the one school with 100 children going to it and 4 lady teachers.
The River Inny, of course, has magical connotations in itself that might well fit the period of the Tain.
That's quite right. There's a very interesting story about the River Inny and its connection with Queen Maeve. In fact, the Inny is not the proper title of the river. Inny is a corruption of the Irish word Etna. Now, Etna was the second wife of King Conor MacNessa, and the story goes that while crossing the Inny at a point 1.5 miles downstream from here at Tenalick, she was in fact drowned. Now, her body was retrieved from the water, and a boy was delivered by caesarean section. And this boy was called Furbo, which in Irish means cut from. Now, his proper name, in fact, was Diarmid. Now, it was this Diarmid who slew Queen Maeve on Inishclachlan in Loughree. So there's quite a strong connection. And then Diarmid, in fact, was later killed himself by a kinsman of Maeve called Louis. Now, all of this is well documented in the annals of the Four Masters and also by Geoffrey Keating, or Shahrun Keating, as he's better known.
Does the Tain saga appeal to you much as a story?
Oh yes, indeed. It's very, very interesting indeed, and I'm sure for all school children in particular it has very magical connotations and meanings.
I suppose this is a sort of lesson that school children wouldn't expect to have out on the banks of the Inny talking of the Tain Walk, wouldn't they?
Well, I'm sure it's a great surprise for them.
Probably is a very big surprise. Does anybody here know anything about the Tain? Yeah.
A Tain is a group of warriors and war fighters. And Cuchulainn was fighting his friend from as their school boys when they went to school. They fought.
We're going up to Ferdia now, are we?
Yeah, where they're fighting. And Queen Maeve wanted him to fight against Cuchulainn. And Cuchulainn said, now let's forget about our school days and fight. And they fought for a day and they were very tired. And they fought for another day and they were very sore. And then the next day, Cuchulainn was speared, and then he took his last breath and gave his friend got his spear and put it through his heart, and his friend died. And
he sank the Gaibulaga, I think, into him. Cuchulainn was a good man for sinking spears into people, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Anybody know anything about the two bulls? Yeah?
They fought, and the brown bull killed the white bull. He got him up on his horns and he threw him. And the brown bull, or the white bull, was dead, and the brown bull went back to Ulster. And he just got into his own shed, and his heart burst.
It did. That's the most graphic account I ever heard of what happened to him. He was called Down, that particular bull, a sort of god of the underworld, you know. Did you ever think that you'd be out here on the River Inny talking about all this sort of stuff this morning?
No.
Who teaches you all this?
Mrs. Lynn. Mrs. Lynn.
She's a good teacher?
Yeah.
And you got the morning off, did you, because of the Tain Walk, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
So you're glad that Maeve and Alil and Cuchulainn and Ferdia and the two bulls went this way?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. Will you get lessons off tonight because of this?
I don't know. Hope we do.
What?
Hope we do.
I hope you do too, and thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you very much.